Our culture and a lot of the ideas that people hold to be true are basically built upon myths. They're myths built upon myths, and it's because of this foundation of mythology and mysticism, which comes from from religious institutions, from political institutions, and so forth, that allow basically larger BS to sit on top of it.
People take things with reservation or with a grain of salt, what have you, and all ideals are emerging, at least they should be.
But you have to stop and look around you today and ask, is this system that that had a place at one time, is that actually still relevant today? Or is it actually maybe holding us back from actually solving a lot of our problems?
Technology is the focal point, or should I say, a train of thought that introduces the society to a better way of understanding the world around us, a better way of understanding what a government, a social system is, or how all these things work.
Money actually isn't a part of the equation of solving the problem. Money is something that's really kind of arbitrarily thrown there in the middle. The Zeitgeist movement's main perspective on solving problems is if you just wipe the slate clean and you look at what is the best way to solve hunger, what is the best way to fix all these problems. The solution to these problems are technical solutions.
Yes.
The solutions do not derive from politics. All that is complete noise, it's nonsense,
Yes.
it's in the way. The whole world can't be rich. That's not the way the monetary system works.
Right. I mean, when you look around, why are there homeless people in the street? Why are there people starving
when there's empty homes and there's food on the shelf?
We want you to understand that we're not talking about creating manna from heaven or whatnot and so forth.
The technology that you get and the awesome stuff that you see is only what they're able to package and sell to you.
Yeah. Just ideologies, just ways of thinking is what's holding it back.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Joining us now is Mr. David Gaines, Chicago Chapter Coordinator. David, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. How are you doing?
Doing great, man. Thanks for being with us. So
Excellent.
I wanted to reach out to you guys because y'all had a really successful event at the Chicago Green Festival, and I saw some of the photographs from Facebook, and they just looked fantastic. And yeah, I was really inspired by the work you guys are doing. So first off, great job.
Likewise, we're duly inspired by the work that you guys are doing down there.
Awesome.
Yeah, Greenfest was fantastic. It was a huge turnout. I mean, it was a huge indoor event, and so the place was just packed, and we connected with countless amounts of people. I'm not even sure how many people we got signed up for, the newsletter and events, as well as I think we handed out over like 500 DVDs of Moving Forward.
Dang!
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And one of the most interesting things that I kind of experienced with working behind the booth and talking and dealing with people was that you always have like a certain amount of people who walk by and they give you kind of like an unapproving look, and like but then you're like, would you like a free copy Moving Forward? And they're like, well, what is that?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they like open up, and like before you know it, these people who you were so sure were just gonna give you a nasty look and walk by, end up having really great conversations with us. And
that's awesome, man.
And it was really positive. We met with a lot of people. We made a lot of connections with a lot of other good organizations,
right.
Like PETA and a lot of other organizations that have Chicago chapters and such.
I want to ask you, did you encounter any resistance? I know that just still with the first film, it went viral and so many people have seen it. When you just mentioned Zeitgeist, it's automatically kind of assumed that, okay, so this is like a 9/11 truth movement or things like this. Did you encounter any type of preconceived ideas of what the Zeitgeist movement was and what it was?
Totally did. And that's a great point you make, because I think a lot of the nonsense that I hear on the net is people who are talking about how we're like a New World Order, like anti-New World Order group or something like that. I'm like, did you really not pay attention? Like I kind of see where people get the misconception from the first film, even though it never says New World Order or anything. It's definitely not anti-New World Order film. It just deals with topics that the NWO group deals with. Anyway, I'm sorry, I digress. But yes, I did encounter that. One gentleman who I was speaking to, it was funny. Like I walked up to him and he was like, "Oh yeah, I've heard of Zeitgeist. I saw Zeitgeist. It was pretty cool. I didn't agree with everything, but I thought it was pretty cool." I was like, "Oh yeah, the monetary system stuff is kind of hard to swallow." He was like, "Oh no, it was more like like the Illuminati and the New World Order." I was like, "Well, wait, hold on."
Yeah.
Like we don't talk about that. And he was like, yeah, I saw the film, and I'm like, I think you misunderstood, like what the point was and what we were talking about. He's like, no, and I didn't want to share into like an argument or anything, but he clearly believed that that's what we were about, despite the fact that I was from the movement.
You were like
telling him that's not what we're about, but okay.
Yeah. I'm the representative for the chapter here in Chicago, and I can assure you that's not what we're about.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, interesting. So, yeah, man, so John Perkins showed up, didn't he?
Yeah, and stroke of luck, John Perkins happens to be giving a speech there. So
wow.
I didn't even realize that, going in when we were setting up the booth. It wasn't only until like a couple hours before he spoke that I got word of it. And so it's pretty great. So I, sat down and checked out his speech, and then after that, he, was doing a book signing, and so a couple of us, just went over there and just started talking to him, and so he, agreed to just, step to the side after the signing and do a quick interview with us. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and just in case for those that don't know, John Perkins was in Zeitgeist Addendum. He's also the author of a couple of books, New York Times bestsellers. Confessions of an Economic Hitman is his most known book. Now, as far as, I'm curious, were you able to kind of get a feeling for his feelings toward a resource-based economy and the Zeitgeist movement in general?
That was one of the last questions that I asked him, and it wasn't directly that. I asked him, excuse me.
Busy man.
I asked him, I basically phrased it, and you'll see it, I think, when you cue the clip here. But basically, I kind of heard from Peter in a previous radio address that he said that John Perkins really wasn't on board with the resource-based economy, but that he generally supported the notions and ideas. And so I asked him that, and I asked him, so I get the gist that you don't support resource-based economy, but what kind of monetary reforms would you advocate? And he gave me kind of standard answers. He pretty much said that we need to get rid of the Federal Reserve. We all agree upon that, of course. So, and then I asked him if he had seen Zeitgeist moving forward, and he said he had not. So,
Wow.
So a little tear for that.
Yeah, for sure, a little tear for that. Damn, ouch, sting.
Yeah.
Obviously,
so we gave him a copy, of course.
You gave him a copy. Yeah, you gave him a copy. Now, if you watch
So
this,
hopefully by now.
yeah, for sure. So what else do you guys have coming up? Your activism is, now have y'all done anything like this before the Chicago Green Fest?
Oh yeah. There's there's the Peace Fest, which happens multiple times a year. There's like Winter Peace Fest and Summer Peace Fest.
Cool.
The Summer Peace Fest is coming up here in June. Forget the exact dates, but it's like mid-June on the weekend. I think 17th to 19th, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Then of course there is the Art of His Film Festival, which is coming up, which I believe you guys are taking part in as well.
Yep.
That's really big. That's awesome news.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, the Art of His Film Festival, which is based out of Los Angeles, is working with the Zeitgeist movement to expand. Normally it's been annually for the last 8 years in Los Angeles, or I'm sorry, for the last 7 years. I believe this is the 8th. So this year they're expanding it to 8 major cities, like Chicago, Austin, et cetera, Atlanta, et cetera. So anyhow, we have that coming up, which is really cool.
And
and then there's also, of course, the Zeitgeist Media Festival, which is coming up in the fall.
Yeah. And so one of the things that is key to being able to do some decent activism work is having a booth set up. Would you agree to this?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, and what was the investment that your chapter made in getting a booth? It's just
this particular event was a little bit expensive. I believe the booth fee was around $500, maybe a little bit more. Yeah. As far as the actual materials of the booth, usually not that expensive.
Yeah.
And $500 is high. I mean, the Green Festival is a big event here.
Yeah.
So I don't think it would normally cost other chapters who are who are looking to start being a little more active and setting up booths at events. I don't think normally it's going to cost you that much. I'd say depending on obviously the type of setup and the materials that you use, I think it can probably be done for under $100 if you're creative.
Cool. So you guys had you said you gave out 500 DVDs, so you at least 500 DVDs. I'm sure you guys had plenty of just in the photographs that I've seen, it looked like you had a dozen different types of a dozen different pieces of material, of informational materials to hand out. So I mean, along with 3 or 4 different banners that you had. It's a good looking booth you guys have.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. Well, cool, David. Also, this is exciting. You guys have a Chicago ZTV coming up, don't you?
Yes, ZTV is being rolled out. We are on public access, Chicago Public Access TV, and we do a talk show with host Tony Harper, and we just filmed our 3rd episode, which I actually was the invited guest for that episode. And it was really cool. Actually, I'm going to be launching a trailer for that. That hasn't aired on TV yet. We just filmed it. So I'm going to launch out a trailer, which will be also the launching of the ZTV YouTube channel. So obviously, if you don't live in Chicago, you can't tune in to our show, but we'll be hosting it on YouTube.
Well, we definitely want to work with you guys because one of the big things for us is, yes, we broadcast on television here, but we feel that it's really important that we get streaming set up to where anybody can watch, and then like we're doing right now with you, doing essentially Skype call-ins, where it doesn't even have to be video. Anybody that wants to chime in to a discussion from anywhere in the world can Skype in.
And, totally. That's brilliant.
Yeah, and so that's really inspiring. And from what I understand, this was inspired through our public access TV show for you guys to do it, and that's kind of been our intention, is to inspire the rest of the chapters to, kind of copy each other. I feel like that's why I'm so excited about this movement, because we all can build off of each other's ideas. It's emergent. It's a bit like a resource-based economy. So awesome, David. Well, hey, man, thanks so much for joining us, and good luck with ZTV, and definitely hit me up. Are you going to be doing the editing work? Who's going to be doing the post-production stuff?
Well, actually, right now, that's a good question. Right now, we just do we just shoot it in one take, and they have people in the control room who are queuing up, videos and stuff, and doing the on-screen graphics and the camera rotations and such. And it may stay in that format, or it may begin to get a bit more complicated as far as actually doing a shot and then taking it back and doing more post-editing. And I might be taking over that. It really just depends on if I have enough time. I'm also trying to, help them just with, with the structure of the show and all that. So if there's time to do all that bit, then it might get a little bit more snazzy.
Right on. Now, this video that we're about to watch of the Chicago Green Fest and your interview with John Perkins, this is your handiwork?
Yeah, this is mine. Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, awesome, man. Well, I want to say thank you so much again for joining us, and we'll keep in touch with you guys. And yeah, for the rest of you out there, here is the Chicago Green Fest brought to you by the Chicago Zeitgeist Movement. All right, David, we'll see you soon, brother.
All right, Tyson. Good talking with you, man.
You
Later
too,
on.
man. All right. Roll.
Haiti at various times. Or if you compare it to invasions in the Middle East, do you think that it's essentially not even necessary because we already have our hooks listed even there?
Well, we're losing our hooks in South America.
Do you have any quick thoughts on economic transition? I'm under the impression that you don't necessarily subscribe to like a moneyless society necessarily, but that you do advocate for monetary reforms.
Yeah, I don't think it would be really important for us to get rid of the Federal Reserve. That whole ranking system, the whole currency system that we currently have is terrible for us. And we need to get rid of it.
All right, fair enough. John, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
I love what you do.
Thank you so much.
Presidents are easily taken out, either by bullets, as Kennedy was, or by innuendo, rumors, whatever, as Clinton was in his own way. And anybody in that White House is very, very vulnerable. Big corporations have tremendous control over our elected officials. They provide the campaign financing. There's roughly 35,000 lobbyists in Washington today working for the corporations. They control the media. We have to recognize that. And it's we the people, you and I, who must do this.